When you think about your golden years, there are usually three main options that Kansas Cityans have to choose from. 1, stay in their current home, otherwise known as aging in place. 2, downsizing to a smaller home. And 3, moving in to senior living. All three of these options have a lot of pros and cons and can be really confusing if you haven't made a big move in quite some time or you're not familiar with senior living. Thankfully, hi, my name is Rachel Kilmer. I'm a local real estate agent here in Kansas City, licensed on both the Missouri side and the Kansas side. I also have a background in senior living. So this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart, and I can't wait to walk you through everything you need to know about senior living right here in Kansas City. Let's go. Option 1 is aging in place, staying in your current home. And statistically, this is the most common option. This is what most people are choosing to do. However, it definitely has a very distinct set of pros and cons. The pros are obvious. You're comfortable there. Your memories are held in those walls. You know the floor plan like the back of your hand. Your stuff is there. You don't have to go through a move. You probably know your neighbors. The pros are really obvious. There's a reason that you chose that to be your home for as many years as it has been. But the cons to staying in place, aging in place, can be kind of hidden. One big con is that you may have to make modifications to your home, like moving your laundry room from the basement to the main level, so you're not doing stairs if your physical health declines down the road. You could end up having to add a stair lift, and is your stairwell wide enough to accommodate that if that day comes? And then dealing with the upkeep and repairs that come along with homeownership, especially if it's an older home that you've been in for quite some time. Another con is if you have a major health crisis come up and need more care, it's expensive to bring it into your current home. Who you should contact if you want to stay in your current home and you think aging in place is the best thing for me, but I need to be ready to address any of those cons that might come up. You need to get referrals for tradespeople for things that are going to happen to your home. When you own a home, things are going to break. So it's really important that you have a list in your junk drawer of trusted names and contacts that you can call in the event of something breaking. It's not a bad idea to keep a home warranty on your house because that simplifies that process a lot. When something breaks, you just have one number to contact instead of weeding through a bunch of options. And then it's really important to think about health crises and what you'll do with that. Do you have long-term care insurance? Where would you go if you had to have some higher levels of care? Those are all things to think through. So you can talk to a local real estate agent or an insurance person or a contractor you trust. Any of those people will have contacts for other contractors that you could trust. And it's also a good idea to talk to an insurance person that kind of specializes in healthcare and long-term care insurance to see what your options are there as well. So that's your action plan if you want to age in place and stay in your current home. Another option that you have is downsizing, or some people call this right sizing, because I see a lot of people who think they're going to downsize and then end up in an even bigger house. But that's okay for some. There are pros and cons to this though. The pros are that you can still have a relatively fixed cost, just like owning your home. Insurance, utilities, taxes are all things that could go up over time, but on a much smaller scale than if you're renting or has something that is more in someone else's hands. Another pro is that even if you have to take out a small mortgage to fill the gap, that's usually going to be less costly than moving into senior living or something that you have to rent. When you downsize, you still have privacy, independence, space that you would if you stayed in your current home and aged in place, but you also get that fresh start feeling of embracing this season of life, buying a home that suits your needs now rather than what suited your needs 20 years ago. So those are all pros to downsizing. There are some cons, of course. Number one, we really don't have enough maintenance provided housing in Kansas City, especially not in the lower price points. So you'll have to be really patient through what can sometimes be a stressful process when buying a home, especially if you haven't bought a home in many years. Another con is that you still have to deal with the upkeep and repairs, although this may be less so on a maintenance provided because hopefully you have an HOA that takes care of at least some exterior things that you don't have to be in charge of hiring out yourself. But the toilet overflows or, your furnace goes out, that's still going to be on you and something that you'll still have to be responsible for. So it's still a good idea to have a home warranty on it and or a good dependable list of contractors that you can call. You still have the factors of if you have health issues, you have to take care of that. And sometimes the loneliness can be a big deal when you downsize, especially because you're moving into a new neighborhood. However, I will say, some of the most tight-knit communities that I have seen around Kansas City are maintenance-provided neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods, they really, really do look out for one another. They take care of each other. They have the best gossip. Oh, when I host an open house in a maintenance-provided neighborhood, I'm like, bring it on in, because they all come through and check out the house, and then I get to really know what's going on in that neighborhood. So you could feel some sense of loneliness, but you might experience the complete opposite and really find a community in a maintenance-provided neighborhood. Who to contact if you're thinking about downsizing? You need to contact a lender or a trusted financial advisor to see what your financial options are for downsizing. It's very possible that you have enough equity in your house to just roll that cash over and buy a new house. And then obviously talk to a real estate agent, which, hey, would love to work with you. This is really my bread and butter, and such a touching thing for me to be a part of such a big move for local older adults. So last option you have, number 3. If you want to, you can consider senior living. And I would urge you to consider senior living. There is a lot to know though. This is a really complicated topic that could be a whole another video in and of itself. But there are lots of different kinds of senior living. You have independent living that's intended for people that can take care of themselves. You have assisted living that's intended for people that need some help with their regular daily activities. You have memory care, you have skilled nursing, which is like a nursing home. And then you have CCRC communities, which is continuing care retirement communities, which includes all of those levels. And then within those communities, you have the option to lease, you have the option to pay an entrance fee. Sometimes some of those communities offer you the option to actually purchase your home, and then you kind of pay like a membership fee almost. So it is a really wide ranging spectrum of senior living. And I would be happy to give you resources for people that can help walk you through that process. There are a lot of pros to it. There are a lot of things to consider if you are thinking about senior living. Number 1, all of the pesky stuff about homeownership, upkeep, maintenance, changing light bulbs, changing furnace filters, fixing a clogged toilet. All of those things are taken care of for you by your senior living community. A lot of times some amount of meals are provided, whether it be like a certain meal a day or a certain number of meals per month or a certain dollar amount. So that's really nice to not have to worry about that as much. It has built-in socialization. So if you're worried about the loneliness factor of aging in place or moving to a smaller home, senior living is something to seriously consider because you will have a community built right in the moment you walk through that door. There's lots of activity options to keep you moving, both physically, mentally, spiritually, all of those ways that are whatever's important to you. And then it still gives you that fresh start feeling that you get when you make a move of any kind, really. It allows you the opportunity to downsize all your stuff and really focus on the things that are most important to you. There are some cons though, for sure. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a huge wide range of options for senior living. So it can be really, really confusing. The contracts can be confusing. It can be really costly. The monthly costs do tend to go up with inflation if you're at a community that has some sort of monthly cost. And this is a big, major move. There is no denying that. It certainly is. But even with all those cons, for a lot of people, it makes a lot of sense. If you're considering a move into senior living, someone that I would contact is a local company called Resettle Me, and they truly kind of like drive the bus for you in terms of the actual move, getting your stuff packed up, hiring a mover, getting it unpacked, all of that. They are amazing. There's a company called A Place for Mom that is a company that can help you. They kind of act as an agent for you almost through your senior living search. And then of course, a real estate agent will step in and help you once you get to the point of selling your current home. But it's really important to loop them in from the beginning because that can help you kind of make a plan that makes sense for you. So really, these are the 3 main options that older adults have in Kansas City. 1, age in place, stay in your current home. 2, downsize, move to a smaller home or bigger. That just makes more sense for you at this stage in time. Or 3, move into senior living. I would love to chat with you about these options and go over the pros and cons for you because the truth is this is a very personal decision that makes a different decision makes sense for everyone. It also really depends on your age, your goals, your lifestyle, all of that good stuff. So Definitely something to think about sooner rather than later. My biggest piece of advice is to think about it before you have to. Make this decision while you're still in control and you're in power well before you need to, because then it will be a much smoother process and you'll be happy with the outcome. Until then, I will be here on YouTube keeping you updated on all things Kansas City, and I'll see you next time. Bye.